Begin. Jason Walker, a man in his late 30s with eyes that missed nothing, stared at the map on his office wall. Red strings connected cities, marking the reach of the Serpent's Kiss cartel, a group as slippery as their name suggested. For months, Jason, a top DEA agent, had been chasing them. He'd busted smaller drug rings, followed faint trails, and spent countless nights away from home, all to bring down this one big snake. His desk was messy with papers, photos of unknown faces, and notes scribbled in a hurried hand. Each piece was a puzzle part, slowly building a picture of the cartel's dark operations. Jason wasn't just good at his job. He was one of the best. He could spot a lie in a whisper and find a hidden path where others saw only walls. This case, though, was different. The Serpent's Kiss was smarter, more careful. They seemed to know his moves before he made them, a cold feeling that settled deep in his gut. He knew this case would be his toughest test yet, but he was ready. He always was. And begin. Even with the cartel weighing on his mind, Jason always made time for family. His phone buzzed, a picture of his younger brother, Ethan, popping up. Ethan, in his late 20s, had a kind smile and a thoughtful way about him. But lately, Jason noticed a tired look in his eyes. He answered, a warmth spreading through him. "Hey, little brother, everything all right?" Ethan's voice was a bit strained. "Just trying to make ends meet, Jason. You know how it is." Jason did know. Ethan had bounced between jobs, never quite finding his footing. Still, they talked almost every day. Jason was more than just a big brother. He was a second father, a best friend, a guiding star. He'd helped Ethan through school, celebrated his small wins, and picked him up after every stumble. Their bond was deep, built on years of shared memories and unwavering support. Jason often worried about Ethan, wishing he could just give him all the good things in life without any of the hard parts. "Hang in there, Ethan. Things will get better," Jason said, trying to sound hopeful. "You always have me." And begin. A few weeks into the Serpent's Kiss investigation, a coded message arrived on Jason's secure line, a tip from an unknown source. It was short, only a few words, but the meaning hit him like a cold wave. Inside help. Watch your flank. The message suggested someone on the inside was feeding information to the cartel, making them so hard to catch. Jason felt a chill. This explained why the cartel always seemed one step ahead, like shadows slipping through his fingers. He reread the message, his brow furrowed in deep thought. He trusted his team, but the warning was clear. The leak was internal. Instead of telling his boss right away, Jason decided to keep this close. He knew how quickly a team could turn on itself with suspicions flying around. He wanted to find out more before he caused panic. He started to watch everyone around him, noticing little things, a too quick glance, a sudden quietness, a phone call taken in secret. The hunt for the cartel now had a new, more dangerous layer, finding the traitor hiding in plain sight. He felt a heavy weight in his chest. This new secret would be lonely to carry. And begin. As Jason quietly looked for the mole, strange little things about Ethan started to pop up, pricking at Jason's mind. Ethan, who always struggled with money, suddenly had new, expensive clothes. He brushed off Jason's questions about where he got them, mumbling about a lucky break or odd jobs. Then there were the late-night calls Jason sometimes overheard. Ethan's voice hushed, talking in riddles that made no sense. Once, Jason saw a thick wad of cash in Ethan's wallet, far more than he usually carried. Ethan quickly hid it, his face flushing. Each small thing was like a tiny thorn, painful and confusing. Jason tried to push away the bad thoughts. It couldn't be Ethan, his little brother, the one he promised to always protect. But the pieces didn't fit. Ethan was acting differently, more secretive, and often seemed stressed. Jason's gut, usually so reliable in his DEA work, twisted with a terrible feeling. He started watching Ethan more closely, not as a brother, but as an agent. The idea that Ethan might be involved with the very cartel he was hunting made his blood run cold. And begin. The uneasy feeling in Jason's gut finally pushed him to act. One evening, after Ethan said he was going out with friends, Jason quietly followed him. He kept his distance, blending into the city shadows, his heart pounding with a mix of dread and desperate hope that he was wrong. Ethan drove to a quiet part of town, parking near a rundown warehouse. Jason watched as two men, faces he knew from his cartel files, stepped out from the building. One was known as El Diablo's enforcer, a brutal man tied to many cartel killings. Jason watched as Ethan, his own brother, shook hands with them. He saw a quick exchange of small package, then a nod. The scene unfolded like a slow-motion nightmare. It was unmistakable. His own brother, Ethan, was dealing with the Serpent's Kiss cartel. A cold, sharp pain pierced Jason's chest, making it hard to breathe. It felt like his heart was breaking into a million pieces. Confusion swirled with anger and disbelief. How? Why? The brother he had protected, guided, and loved unconditionally was now entangled with the very evil Jason had sworn to fight. The world tilted on its axis. End. Begin. The next day, Jason tried to talk to Ethan, carefully, gently. He invited him for coffee, choosing a quiet corner where they wouldn't be overheard. Ethan, Jason began, keeping his voice soft, I've been worried about you. Are you doing okay? You seem different lately. Ethan stiffened, his eyes darting away. I'm fine, Jason. Just a lot going on. Jason pushed a little, trying to give him an opening. Those odd jobs you mentioned, are they really helping? Or are they getting you into trouble? He watched his brother's face, hoping for honesty. But Ethan's kind smile vanished, replaced by a hard look Jason rarely saw. What are you talking about? Are you checking up on me? Is this about money? I told you, I'm handling it. His voice rose, sharp and angry. You always think you know best, don't you? Always trying to fix me. The sudden anger hurt Jason more than he could say. I'm just trying to help, Ethan. I care about you. Well, stop caring so much. Ethan snapped, standing up abruptly. I don't need your help, Jason. I'm not a kid anymore. He stormed out, leaving Jason alone, staring at his untouched coffee. The wall between them now felt higher and colder than ever. End. Begin. After the painful encounter with Ethan, Jason threw himself back into the cartel investigation, but things had changed. The Serpent's Kiss, led by a ruthless boss known only as El Jeef, seemed to know their every move. What had been a cat-and-mouse game turned into a deadly chess match, with El Jeef making bold, dangerous plays. A planned raid on a cartel hideout turned into an ambush, with Jason's team barely escaping with their lives. Another time, a key witness disappeared just hours before he was to give important information. Surveillance equipment was found and destroyed, and safe houses were suddenly compromised. It was clear El Jeef wasn't just reacting. He was actively testing them, pushing their limits, and showing off his power. The team was on edge, whispers of a mole growing louder. Jason felt the pressure mount, knowing that the traitor was not only inside but was likely his own brother. The thought was a bitter poison, making every decision agonizing. He had to catch El Jeef, but how could he, knowing Ethan was somehow connected to this dangerous game? Every step forward felt like walking into a trap, set by an unseen hand, possibly one he loved. End. Begin. Jason knew he couldn't let his personal feelings get in the way of his job, but the idea of Ethan being a willing part of the cartel was tearing him apart. He needed to understand. He started digging deeper into Ethan's life, using his skills not just as an agent, but as a brother desperate for answers. He checked old bank accounts, talked to people Ethan knew, and pieced together a timeline. What he found wasn't what he expected. Ethan had indeed fallen on hard times, losing his job and facing eviction. Then, a loan shark, known to have ties with the Serpent's Kiss, came calling. The loan wasn't just about money. It was about leverage. The cartel had threatened to hurt Ethan's closest friends, even his beloved old dog, if he didn't do what they wanted. It wasn't about greed. It was about fear. Ethan was trapped, forced into a corner with no way out. The realization hit Jason hard. His brother wasn't a willing traitor. He was a victim. This changed everything. The confusion and anger that had clouded Jason's mind began to clear, replaced by a fierce resolve. He wasn't just fighting a cartel anymore. He was fighting to save his brother from their clutches. End. Begin. With the truth about Ethan laid bare, Jason found himself in an impossible bind. Every step he took in the investigation, every piece of information he gathered, could put Ethan in more danger. His duty as a DEA agent was to dismantle the cartel, no matter the cost. But his heart, his very being, screamed to protect his younger brother, who was now a pawn in a deadly game. He had to make choices that were like knives twisting in his gut. Should he push for a swift, all-out raid that might put Ethan right in the line of fire? Or should he move slowly, risking his team's safety and allowing the cartel to grow stronger, all to buy Ethan more time? He found himself holding back key details from his team, twisting reports just enough to avoid pointing suspicion at Ethan, even as the pressure from his superiors grew. The burden of this secret was crushing. He was walking a tightrope between his badge and his blood, knowing that one wrong step could mean losing everything: his career, his brother, or even his life. The very case he had dedicated himself to now felt like a cruel joke, forcing him to choose between two parts of himself. End. Begin. Jason's careful balancing act was shattered by a chilling discovery. While secretly watching Ethan, he picked up on a hushed conversation, fragmented but clear enough to understand. El Jeef, growing tired of Ethan's lack of commitment, had given him a new, terrifying task. Ethan was to deliver a package, but not just any package. It was a rigged device meant to explode during a rival gang meeting. The target was a crowded restaurant in a busy part of the city, meaning innocent lives would be at risk. Jason's heart leaped into his throat. This wasn't just about moving drugs or money. This was about murder, a terror act designed to send a brutal message. Ethan, gentle and kind, would never willingly do such a thing. He was being pushed into something horrific, something that could either cost him his life or brand him a murderer forever. Jason checked his watch. The delivery was set for later that evening. There was no time to call for backup, no time to explain to his team. He had to act, and he had to act alone. The thought of his brother, caught in such a terrible trap, filled him with a cold fury. He would stop this, no matter what it took. End. Begin. Jason raced against the clock, his mind a whirlwind of strategies. He couldn't risk a direct intervention that would expose Ethan or reveal his own knowledge of the cartel's plans. Instead, he became a ghost, moving unseen through the city. He tracked Ethan's movements with an agent's precision, anticipating his every turn. He called in a fake tip to local police about a minor disturbance near the restaurant, hoping to create just enough chaos to delay Ethan's entry without raising suspicion. As Ethan approached the target, Jason subtly created distractions. A sudden loud noise here, a false alarm there. He even managed to accidentally spill coffee on one of the cartel's lookouts, forcing them to briefly turn away. His goal was not to stop Ethan, but to guide him, to make sure he wasn't alone when the package was handled, or to delay him enough for the police to arrive. He was playing a dangerous game, trying to save his brother without revealing his hand to either the ruthless cartel or his own unsuspecting team. Each moment was a calculated risk, his heart pounding with fear for Ethan and the innocent lives hanging in the balance. End. Begin. Despite Jason's efforts, time was running out. Ethan, looking pale and scared, was almost at the restaurant entrance, the backpack with the device clutched tight. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows near the restaurant. El Diablo's enforcer, the same brutal man Jason had seen with Ethan before. He nodded to Ethan, signaling him to go inside. This was it. Jason knew he had to act now. He couldn't let Ethan walk into that trap. With a surge of adrenaline, Jason burst from his hiding spot, shouting, "Ethan, stop!" The enforcer spun around, recognizing Jason instantly. A tense standoff began. Jason drew his weapon, aiming it at the enforcer, while Ethan froze, caught between his brother and the cartel thug. "Drop it," Jason commanded, his voice raw with urgency. The enforcer sneered, reaching for his own gun. "Too late, Agent. Your brother's a part of this now." Just as the enforcer moved to draw, Jason fired a quick, precise shot, hitting the man's arm. The enforcer cried out, dropping his weapon. Before anyone else could react, Jason grabbed Ethan, yanking the backpack from his hands. "We're leaving now," he hissed, pulling his shocked brother away from the restaurant and into the chaos of the busy street, just as police sirens started to wail in the distance from Jason's earlier tip. And begin. Safe in a hidden apartment, the backpack with the device secured, Jason finally turned to Ethan. The younger man was shaking, his face pale and tear-stained. "Jason, Ethan started, his voice cracking. "Shoo," Jason said, pulling him into a tight hug. For a moment, they just held each other, the unspoken fears and burdens flowing between them. Then Ethan pulled back, his eyes full of pain. "I'm so sorry, Jason. I messed up. They had me. They threatened Mr. Henderson, and even Buster," Ethan confessed, his voice barely a whisper, referring to their elderly neighbor and Jason's dog. "I lost my job, couldn't pay rent, and a loan shark found me. He said he'd hurt anyone I cared about if I didn't do what he said. I didn't know what else to do." Tears streamed down his face. Jason listened, his heart aching. "I know, little brother. I found out. I've been so worried, seeing you with them. It broke my heart. I just wanted to help, but you pushed me away." He paused, his own voice thick with emotion. "I should have pushed harder. But listen to me, Ethan. You're not alone. We'll fix this. Together. And begin." After their emotional talk, the brothers sat in silence for a while, the weight of their situation heavy in the air. Then Jason, the agent, took over. "Okay, Ethan," he said, his voice firm but kind. "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to use this. We're going to take down El Jeef and get you out of this for good." Ethan looked doubtful. "How?" "They'll kill me if they find out I'm helping you." "They won't find out," Jason promised, his eyes alight with a new resolve. "You're already inside. You know their weaknesses. We'll turn their own game against them." He started outlining a risky plan, a dangerous dance of deception and double-crossing. Ethan, still shaken but seeing a glimmer of hope, listened closely. The plan involved Ethan feeding Jason key information about cartel operations, meeting times, and locations, all while making it look like he was still a loyal pawn. Jason, in turn, would use this information to set traps for El Jeef, slowly tightening the net around him without exposing Ethan. It was a high-stakes gamble, requiring perfect timing and unwavering trust. They would have to work as a secret team, brothers united against a common, deadly enemy, their every move carefully hidden from the world. And begin. The brothers put their dangerous plan into motion. Ethan, now with a purpose beyond fear, became Jason's eyes and ears inside the cartel. He passed along coded messages about upcoming drug shipments, hidden money drops, and, most importantly, the location of El Jeef's heavily guarded main hideout. Jason, using these tips, subtly guided his DEA team, making sure they hit the cartel where it hurt, without ever revealing his secret source. Each successful raid brought them closer to El Jeef, but also raised the stakes. The cartel boss became more suspicious, more violent. The tension was a wire-pulled taut. Finally, Ethan delivered the crucial intel. El Jeef was planning a large meeting, a gathering of all his top lieutenants at a secluded warehouse. This was their chance. Jason knew this would be the final, most dangerous fight. He shared the intelligence with his team, still keeping Ethan's role a secret, and prepared for a massive raid. As they geared up, Jason felt a knot of dread and determination. He had to be there, not just as an agent, but as a brother, to make sure Ethan got out alive. The battle lines were drawn, and the air crackled with the promise of a fierce, final showdown. And begin. The raid on El Jeef's warehouse was a storm of shouts and gunfire. Jason, leading his team, moved with fierce purpose. Amidst the chaos, he spotted Ethan, looking terrified but holding his ground, pointing out hidden exits and secret passages he'd learned about. El Jeef, a mountain of a man with cold, cruel eyes, emerged from his office, aiming a large gun. "So, the little rat leads the big dog to my door," El Jeef snarled, his gaze flicking between the brothers. "And here I thought I had broken you, boy." Ethan, fueled by newfound courage, stepped forward. "You underestimated us, El Jeef. You underestimated family. As El Jeef raised his weapon, Jason lunged, tackling him just as he fired. The shot went wide. A brutal struggle began, Jason grappling with the powerful cartel boss. Seeing his brother in danger, Ethan didn't hesitate. He remembered a detail Jason had told him about disarming techniques. With a quick, brave move, Ethan kicked El Jeef's arm, making him drop the gun. Jason seized the chance, twisting the boss's arm behind his back and cuffing him. Together, they had brought down the monster. The warehouse fell silent, save for the sounds of agents securing the remaining cartel members. The brothers stood panting, side by side, their bond shining through the grime and danger. And begin. The Serpent's Kiss cartel was broken. El Jeef and his main lieutenants were behind bars, their operations shut down for good. News channels hailed the DEA's success, and Jason was praised for his leadership. Yet, for Jason and Ethan, the victory felt heavy, mixed with a deep sadness. Ethan was safe, but not entirely free. He had to testify, to tell his story to the authorities, and even though Jason vouched for him, the legal process was long and hard. He carried the weight of what he'd been forced to do, the fear he'd lived with, and the betrayal he felt from a system that should have protected him. He was a survivor, but the experience had changed him, leaving scars that might never fully heal. For Jason, the relief of taking down the cartel was shadowed by the personal cost. The secret he'd kept from his team, the lines he'd blurred between duty and family, weighed on him. He knew he'd done what was right for Ethan, but it left him feeling isolated from his colleagues, a silent barrier now between them. The emotional toll of constantly fearing for his brother, and the knowledge of the darkness Ethan had faced, settled deep in Jason's soul. Victory had come, but hadn't erased the pain. And begin. Despite the shadows that lingered, Jason was determined to help Ethan build a new future. He navigated the legal maze, making sure Ethan's forced involvement was understood, and that his cooperation led to a second chance. Ethan, in turn, worked hard to clear his name, taking every opportunity to show he was truly sorry and ready to change. Jason used his connections, not as a DEA agent, but as a big brother. He helped Ethan find a new place to live, far from a city where the cartel's dark reach could still feel too close. He helped him get a stable job, one that offered a clear path forward and didn't involve any odd jobs. They spent more time together, not talking about cartel secrets, but about everyday things, sports, movies, and plans for the future. Ethan started to look healthier, the tired lines around his eyes fading. He even started volunteering at an animal shelter, a quiet way of making up for the fear he'd felt when Buster was threatened. Their brotherly love, tested by betrayal, fear, and duty, had not only survived but had grown stronger, proving it could overcome even the darkest of times. And begin. Months later, Jason sat in his office, the map of the Serpent's Kiss cartel now clean of red strings, a symbol of their defeat. He was still a DEA agent, as dedicated as ever, but something inside him had shifted. The black and white world of law enforcement now had shades of gray. He understood that sometimes people weren't simply good or bad. They were caught in impossible situations. He looked at a recent photo on his desk. Ethan, smiling genuinely, standing next to a happy-looking Buster at the animal shelter. Ethan was truly building a new life, stronger and more resilient than before. Jason felt a deep sense of peace, knowing he had saved his brother, even if it meant bending some rules and carrying a secret burden. He still served justice, but now with a deeper understanding of human weakness and strength, and a profound appreciation for the unbreakable bonds of family. He had faced his toughest test, not just as an agent, but as a brother, and in doing so, had become a better man. The experience had forged him, making him not just a good agent, but a truly wise one. And